There's widespread anger tonight following the decision by Newsquest, the owners of the Herald newspaper titles, to sack 250 staff and ask them to reapply for just over 200 jobs. The Scotland Office Minister expressed concern earlier in this programme, and the unions have described it as a brutal attempt at forcing change. Group sets modernisation plans, was the management euphemism in a statement today from the owners. Sacking all the paper's staff was what it meant. As part of the transformation of the business, it went on, journalists on all three titles are being made redundant and are invited to reapply for jobs in the new structure. Staff in Glasgow this evening didn't want to speak. Newsquest argues that it's committed to creating an efficient operation that continues to deliver what it calls vibrant content across its traditional titles and online. What's also likely to be vibrant is a debate tomorrow morning at Holyrood. The Conservatives had planned a debate on the Scottish media. Now politicians on all sides are lining up to denounce what's happened. Incidentally, today was the first day in the job for the new editor-in-chief, Donald Martin, as he set a record for the speed at which a new boss has dived headlong into a major industrial dispute. Well, I'm joined now by our business editor, Douglas Fraser, who joined the BBC from the Herald a few months ago. Douglas, first of all, just the way this has been done. I mean, is this unusual, or is this a sign of the way employers are starting to behave in a recession?
It's highly unusual. It's very audacious. It's been tried before, successfully on a small scale, oddly enough in the public sector. Local authorities have used this mechanism before, but there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Negotiation, collective negotiation is required according to employment law. I've been talking to employment lawyers this evening about this, and that includes negotiation as to whether these jobs really have to go, what the terms are, what can be done to mitigate the effects for staff. It doesn't yet look as if the Herald management is talking about jumping through any of these hoops yet. But the other factor spread much wider across the economy, that this is a signal of a change in the balance of power within the workplace, that employers think they can do this to employee groups. In newspapers, they can do it elsewhere too.
Presumably the unions are furious because, I mean, on the face of it, it would appear that what the management want to do is get rid of everyone and then cherry pick the people they want back.
Yes, well, the people are mostly in shock today. Nobody saw this amount of change coming. Clearly, there's a lot of change within the newspaper industry. They're almost certainly wanting to shed staff. The BBC is also shedding journalists' job under rather different circumstances. But the unions now have to take a decision as to how they're going to fight this. This is not a great time for them to use leverage. How do you organise industrial action when the employment situation is looking as grim as it does just now?
Well, and when you've been sacked.
Well, absolutely.
But how bad are things getting in the media in Scotland, do you think, more generally? This is clearly a sign of pretty deep-rooted problems, isn't it?
Well, across the commercial media, commercial television's in trouble as well. But for newspapers, there's a lot of changes afoot. They're losing circulation. Public taste is moving to free papers. It's moving online. Advertising, crucially, is moving online as well. And particularly on property, on jobs, on cars. That's the mainstay of newspapers like the Herald and the Scotsman. And not only were these already moving online because of technological change and advertising benefits of being online, it's cheaper apart from anything else to reach the people you want to reach, but these are the most vulnerable, the most troubled areas of the economy going into the recession. And so these businesses are taking 2 or 3 hits at once. And I think it's fair to say that as we go through this recession, this is one sector which is going to come out the other side looking very different indeed.
All right, Douglas, thanks very much indeed. Now, a quick look at tomorrow's front pages, starting with the Herald, as we've just been talking about it. And it splashes the story we were actually talking about earlier. 2-year mortgage lifelines unveiled, it says. And the story at the top, Lloyds TSB hints at a return to traditional Bank of Scotland, as interviewed with Eric Daniels, the Lloyds TSB chief executive, saying the Bank of Scotland is such an important brand, it would be amazing if it were not fairly prominent if this merger goes ahead. The Scotsman, Brown helps crunch victims, keeps homes, same story there. The Financial Times, much the same theme. Brown throws mortgage holders a lifeline. It also predicts the Bank of England, the Monetary Policy Committee, I should say, will cut rates to 2% tomorrow, which would be the lowest rate since the bank was founded in 1694. That's all for tonight. Until tomorrow.